On one muggy night in August of 2016, Anthony Allen Timpa, more known as Tony, travelled to West Mockingbird Lane in Dallas, Texas, for reasons currently unknown. What we do know, however, is that once arriving, he entered the new fine art store, although again it isn't clear if that was his original intention. We'll have to label New Fine Art as an over 18 store for YouTube guideline purposes, but to give you an idea of what they stock, we'll call it adult-themed items and items related to smoking. Tony was there for the latter. He grabbed a lighter, but out of nowhere, reporters say that he started to panic, sprinted out of the door, and headed into West Mockingbird Lane's busy traffic. This prompted a New Fine Arts security guard to chase after him so he couldn't cause any harm to himself or cause an accident in the road. During those brief seconds before the security guard caught up to him, Tony called for 911. That call has never been released to the public. However, we do have small transcripts to paint a picture of what it was like in those moments. Tony called 911 and asked to be picked up. He stated that he had a history of mental illness. He had not taken his medications, he was having a lot of anxiety, and he was afraid of a man that was with him. The call ended abruptly. When the operator called back, Tony provided his location on Mockingbird Lane in Dallas, Texas. In the background of the call, the sounds of honking and of people arguing could be heard. Other 911 call transcripts are also available for public use. A motorist placed a 911 call to report a man running up and down the highway on Mockingbird Lane, stopping traffic and attempting to climb on a public bus. A private security guard called 911 with the same report and noted his belief was that the man was on something. Tony had indeed been high on cocaine, but he'd also not taken his medication for the long list of mental health related issues he had, including schizophrenia, depression, bipolar disorder, and anxiety disorder. Combine the two together, and you have the events that would eventually unfold. Shortly after those 911 calls were made, the fine art store security guard, along with another security personnel from an unrelated store who had happened to be passing by the scene in his car, managed to bring Tony to the sidewalk a short distance away from where the mental health related episode first occurred. The police dispatcher requested that responding officers would need to respond to a crisis intervention training situation and described Tony as a white male with schizophrenia off his medications. A CIT call informs responding officers that the situation involves an individual who may be experiencing mental health related issues. The Dallas Police Department instructs 5 officers to perform a 5-man takedown in a situation similar to the one at hand. A 5-man takedown is a controlled technique where 4 officers secure the subject's limbs while the 5th holds their head. This technique allows officers to gain control while simultaneously preventing said person, in this case Tony, from injuring himself or others. Regardless of whether officers are responding to a CIT call or not, the Dallas Police Department orders that as soon as arrestees are under control, they are placed in an upright position if possible or on their side. This policy is reiterated for the restraint of people suffering from excited delirium. In other words, in a state of agitation, excitability, and paranoia, often associated with drug use or not taking certain medication. Officers who responded to the scene on West Mockingbird Lane in August of 2016 received specific training on excited delirium, which twice reiterated that officers must as soon as possible move the subject to a recovery position on their side or seated upright because the prolonged use of a prone restraint may result in positional asphyxia. Their training also warned that if the subject suddenly calms, goes unconscious, or otherwise becomes unresponsive, they must advise a paramedic immediately because a sudden stop of a struggle is a prime indicator that the subject may be experiencing sudden death in relation to positional asphyxia. With that information now fresh in your mind, let us take a look through the body cam footage of officers responding to Tony Timpa's mental health related episode and see if the actions officers took would be similar to that of stopping someone for a parking ticket. They say that the level of response needed for the situation at hand was no more than that.
Help me!
Help me!
Hey, what's up? Hey, look, Tony. Look at me, bro. Hey,
Tony,
chill out, man.
get me, gun. Get me. Please get me. Just take me down.
No, you're fine.
Don't hurt me.
We're not gonna hurt you, bro. We're not gonna hurt you, bro.
Relax, man. No. Get you some help, Tony. Relax, man. Just stay down. Hey, Tony. No. Tony.
Yeah. Stop it.
Oh no, please.
By this point, Tony had been handcuffed by the 2 security guards who had took him to the sidewalk. At around 10:36 p.m, supervising police sergeant Kevin Mansell arrived at the scene. Tony was sitting barefoot on the grass beside the sidewalk. Sergeant Mansell called for backup and an ambulance, stating that Tony was in traffic and was a danger to himself. He described Tony as thrashing on the ground and kicking in the air as if someone was there. There was no one there. Just prior to backup arriving and this body cam footage starting, Tony had rolled into the gutter of the street. Sergeant Mansell and one of the security guards lifted Tony and placed him back on the grass. Within 7 to 10 minutes, 2 paramedics, Senior Corporal Raymond Dominguez and officers Dustin Dillard, Danny Vasquez, and Domingo Vieira arrived. Everyone would go on to be informed about the situation at hand, and that's when the body cam starts to roll. Within the first few moments of the body cam footage, Tony continues behaviors that were previously described after brief calmness. In response, officers Dustin Dillard and Danny Vasquez force Tony onto his stomach and each press one knee into his back while a security guard tries to restrain his legs.
You're gonna be alright. You're gonna be
Tony.
alright.
What's your last name, Tony?
Please! We're not gonna hurt you, okay? But you need to relax. Okay? What'd you take today? What did you take?
Oh God, I can't feel.
Hey, what did you
Help me!
Hey, what did you take today? Tony, what did you take today? What did you take?
I'll tell you, but you gotta let me go a little bit.
Hey.
Help me!
Well, he was trying to get on the bus. I was trying to stop him. Hey.
That's
all we got.
Help me!
Tony Timpa.
No!
Oh.
No! Help me! Don't do it! Don't do it! I'm down! Please don't do it! Please don't do it!
Hey, you're okay. You're okay.
Don't hurt me!
Yeah, don't jump back. You got paramedic behind you.
Okay.
You want to twist your body out to the right.
No, that's good. I'm just worried about him.
I can't live! I can't! Go! Oh God, this sucked.
You're gonna be alright.
Tony, relax. Tony, relax. You don't need to be squirming, man.
Stop.
We're trying to get you help, man.
Stop.
All right?
Okay, stop. I stop. Please leave me feet alone. Please leave.
That has 2 call sheets on this one. Hey, what's this might have come out of his pocket. What the hell is that?
Whoa.
This blue, what's this?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony Timpa. He finally said, yacht club in Rockwall. That's
Okay. Will you let me go, please?
Hey, Tony.
Will you let me
Help
go?
you out, man. Just relax.
Okay. I'm in. Fuck yeah. Oh. What is it?
Just another day?
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to do this.
I think that's his.
Huh.
This is his.
No. No.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
I got zip cuffs in my
Probably need them.
trunk of the Vic. Black Dodge.
Help me!
Zip cuffs in the back trunk.
Help me! Help me! Help me!
Hey, I'm gonna try to change the cuffs.
Okay.
That way we don't have to worry about it once he's up.
Yeah.
Relax.
You're gonna be alright, Tony.
Okay.
Nah, it's okay.
Oh God, please. Oh God, please.
You're gonna be alright. You're gonna be alright.
Oh, you cut my feet off. Oh my God.
You're gonna be alright, bud.
Oh,
Okay?
no.
We're gonna get you some help.
Stop! Stop! Stop, officer!
You're gonna be okay.
Okay.
Tony, chill.
Okay.
Relax.
Okay.
Got me over here, sir, so I can unbuckle these.
Okay.
Trying to switch out customs.
No.
What we got.
Help me!
Tony, you're gonna have to relax.
Help me! Okay, stop.
You're gonna relax. Relax.
I'm stopping, please.
Okay.
Please, I'm stopping, please.
Okay.
Ah. 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 Ah.
You hook them?
You'll be tired tomorrow.
I got one on. Yeah, I'm trying to.
Let's get one set of cuffs off of.
Yeah, I'm trying.
And then we'll just
He's squirming way too much.
One thing at a time. Then
Here.
we'll pull his legs out and get the rest of it.
Hold on.
No, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
Stop it. Stop, Tony.
Please don't.
Stop.
Please.
You're gonna have to stop squirming.
No!
Tony,
Help me!
Tony,
Help me!
chill out.
Help me! Help me! Please. Oh yeah. Oh, that's good. Oh, he doesn't let me down.
Come on. Damn cheat.
Yeah, he's.
Moving way too much.
Yeah, You're gonna be alright, Tony. Take your time, bro. Take your time, bro.
Stop it. Tony, stop fighting me. I'm just trying to take this handcuff
Okay,
off.
take it off. Oh God. It hurts. Please take it off. Oh no. Oh my God. Oh my God, it hurts. What does that do? All right. Oh shit. How do you massage? Yeah. Thanks. Be careful. Oh.
Yeah. Take your time, bro. Take your time.
These motherfuckers.
Y'all
I'll punch it again.
Y'all want to roll them out?
Punch it again.
We can kind of like.
Punch it again with
Roll 'em up.
the, yeah, that's it. I got it.
Got it?
I got it. Well, I got it.
Alright.
I got it. I got it.
Roll him
I
over.
don't
Yeah,
have
debit
it.
card.
Before
They
y'all
don't
move,
have it.
if I can just get right here and see if I can just get to this.
Yeah, hang on. Oh,
He's trying to help you out, okay? He's trying to help you out, okay? You're doing good. You need to relax.
That's why he's so athletic.
It'll be alright. Try to help you out.
Yeah. I'm nearly busted in the head. Okay. Kill me. Kill me. Kill me, my friend. Kill me.
You're gonna be
I
alright.
need to die.
You're gonna be okay. You'll be alright.
Okay. Let's. Huh?
Hey, chill out.
Okay, we're dead. We're dead.
You're gonna be all right.
Okay, we're dead. We're dead.
No, you're not.
Help me! Help me! Help! Oh. Help me! Okay, get me.
You're gonna be all right.
Okay, y'all get me. Okay. Okay. No, it's not terminal. Help me! Help me! Help me! Help me! Help me! Help me! Help me!
Hey, sir, can you talk?
Oh no! Oh.
Tony?
Tony?
Anthony Timpa or something like
Anthony.
Hey, can you respond to my questions?
Tony.
No?
Tony.
I'm trying to help, but I need you to acknowledge me.
Tony. Tony.
He's on his phone.
There's nothing in me.
This ain't just normal crazy, man.
Oh, I don't have it.
He's on something.
There's a key. There's a
That's what
key.
I'm saying. It's,
Help
yeah.
me!
There's no way he's just
Help
normal
me!
crazy.
Hey,
Help me! Help me!
Tony.
Help me!
Tony.
Help me!
What'd you take today? What'd you take?
Help me! Help me! Help me!
Putting him down like this because they had him just sitting down. He's like rolling. Man. I was like,
This is not
yeah.
schizophrenia. He took something. Hey, Tony, what'd you take? Yeah, he took something.
So what's the plan? You're the HMFIC out here, sir.
If you'll strap him to a pony, one of y'all.
Well, they can ride both. Like they can both ride in the back. I'll drive the ambulance.
11's ambulance. If it's 11's ambulance, then
Anybody can drive.
anybody.
I highly doubt it. He's zipped out his feet. He's a kicker, man.
Oh, hell yeah. He kicked me a couple times.
Yeah, that's what I decided. No, I'm laying
He's
down.
like, you're gonna kill me. He's trying to kick me. Oh, shit. It's not good. No, just trying to kick me.
He was scrumming a little.
Tony, you still with us?
You alright, bud? You gonna be alright.
Is he acknowledging anymore?
He's moving.
Oh, I thought he nodded yes to your question.
Tony.
Tony.
Tony. He's breathing. Tony.
I'll make sure you're still breathing.
Yeah.
Is his nose buried in there?
I think he's still breathing. He just snorted. Tony.
What the fuck?
Is he asleep?
He's asleep.
He's snoring. That's what it was.
Yeah, he's asleep.
Wow. Shit. If I was squirming that much, I'd be sleeping too. Tony.
Tony! Tony! Start for school. Wake up.
I'm going to school.
Five more minutes left. First day, you can't be late.
Tony.
You bought your new shoes for the first day of school. Come on.
Made breakfast, scrambled eggs, your favorite.
Good waffles.
Waffles.
Fruity, tutti, fruity waffles. I
Oh,
think he's out cold now.
Yes.
This might wake him up.
What happened?
I don't know. He just got quiet.
All of a sudden, it just whoop.
The dark end?
Oh, there he comes. Sounded like he was snoring.
Is that dark end? Oh, the Green Oaks cocktail, like Benadryl. You know, if you would give us like a handful of those, like, alright. Y'all can shoot that stuff out of guns on your car. That'd be awesome. You'll be fighting to go to CIT calls. I'm closer now, I'm all closer.
Wait for me.
I think we can get him on the stretcher.
Yeah. Hey, put my phone in my other pocket.
Turn him over.
Let's turn him this way.
Alright.
Come over. Whew. All right. 1, 2, 3. Go.
Jeez, Christ.
Hard. Hey, don't fall off now. I don't want him to fall.
Is he knocked out or he ain't dead, is he?
Nah, he just moves.
Oh, okay.
I think I'll go freaking.
He didn't just die down there, did he?
I don't think he did.
Is he breathing? Hope I didn't kill him.
It's all this weed shit.
I'll light it.
I love how this became a weed. Yeah. We ain't friends.
Exactly. It's America.
Hey, Domingo, find his car?
I have no idea.
I'm kind of curious to see.
Hey, do you have a bag?
No, I gave you my last one. He didn't have much stuff though.
I'm fucking believing.
Yeah, he's not breathing.
He's not breathing?
Nope.
Oh shit.
Fire. Huh.
No, he ain't breathing, bro.
We all put on some gloves when he's chest compressions.
Fuck. He ain't breathing.
So he was fighting and then just gave up.
Hey,
Like this.
I've got his mom on the phone, and she knows all this stuff.
He's dead.
He's what?
He's dead.
Well,
Yes, so.
company will be 1720 West Mockingbird CPR.
You ever done CPR before?
When Vicky Timpa, Tony's mother, was informed of his death, she claims that police told her 3 different versions of events. Initially, they had told her that Tony had a heart attack at a bar and died. Then she was told that an officer patrolling the area on foot spotted Tony passed out in his car, and then he later died. The third story she was told was that Tony had called 911, got into an ambulance, waved at police, and died. After being told 3 different stories, Vicky was unsure of how true the facts of the case were and needed some answers. After all, the 3 stories she'd been told didn't necessarily match up with how Tony's body looked when she visited him at the morgue. He had grass in his nose and bruises on his arms. An unidentified woman at the morgue told Vicky to contact Ambulance 47, the Dallas fire rescue crew who responded on the night of Tony's death. When she reached out, the person on the other side of the phone told her to contact the police and asked them what happened before putting the phone down on her. On the 24th of August 2016, Vicky, feeling helpless with no clear answer as to what happened to her son, filed a request for public records from the Dallas Police Department. I want to know what happened. However, Vicky wasn't on her own. Around the same time the request was made, an anonymous male caller reached out to the Dallas Morning News and told them to look into the death of a man he only knew by his first name, Tony. After searching public records for a month, police incident number 192631-2016 was found. Complainant died by unknown means. The victim? Anthony Allen Timpa. A team was soon assembled to do some digging to see what they could find. What happened to Tony? The first protocol was to search for a report that would have been filed to the Attorney General's office within 30 days. The report isn't vetted, but some initial information can start to be gathered. Let's take a look at some key details when the team found that report. At any time during the arrest/incident, did the deceased threaten the officers involved? No. Resist being handcuffed or arrested? No. Grab, hit, or fight with the officers involved? No. Use a weapon to threaten or assault the officers? No. In hindsight, a fairly true version of events. Although the summary of how the death occurred doesn't give a full explanation of the officer's involvement in the death, rather stating that he was placed in an ambulance and stopped breathing. Towards the end of the summary, it states that 3 of the officers involved were wearing body cams, so the Dallas Morning News, after investigating the incident, put in a request for public records, including a more in-depth incident report, 911 calls, an autopsy report, and of course, the body cam footage worn by officers. However, no one got back to them after various attempts were made. Something wasn't sitting right with the investigation team. The Dallas Morning News had been in contact with Vicky Timpa as their investigation had started. Maybe she could provide some more clues as to what happened to her son, but she was in the same boat as they were. Except the Dallas PD had reached back out to her initial request, stating that nothing could be released due to an ongoing criminal investigation. After receiving no help from the DPD, Vicky approached officials at the medical examiner's office for a copy of Tony's autopsy report. They declined her request, citing the ongoing criminal investigation, but an employee privately let her in on Tony's cause of death. Homicide, sudden cardiac arrest brought on by cocaine, and stress associated with physical restraint. That employee also let her know that according to court filings, a police officer used his knee to pin Tony to the ground for more than 13 minutes. As you know, those details had been missing from the Attorney General's report. With this information now out in the open, and the DPD refusing to hand over any information, Vicky decided to lawyer up and sued the city of Dallas in order to gain access to records. An excessive force civil suit was filed in federal district court against various officers involved in the death of Tony Timpa, along with a security guard. The City of Dallas Police, however, refused at that time to name the officers involved, so Vicky's lawyer had to sue them as John Doe's. And even when this case was initially taken to court, the police department still would go on to deny all the records from being released, on the basis of this ongoing criminal investigation into the incident. So another lawsuit was filed against the city to once again obtain some documents that would at least explain what happened to Tony, but after missing several deadlines and a court date, no documents were ever handed over. The city explained that the Dallas County District Attorney's Office had recommended withholding all records until their criminal investigation was closed. In December of 2016, the police finally turned over the case to the DA's office, so it looked as if in the near future, said documents would be released.
Police officers received criminal indictments after the death of a man in their custody. Another officer is expected to face the same charge. Our C Pickett live along Mockingbird near Harry Hines tonight, where Tony Timpa died.
In April of 2017, Vicky Timpa finally gained access to a redacted Dallas Police Department incident report. We won't go through the whole report, but let's take a look at a specific section to see what information we find. On August 10th, 2016, the complainant was involved in a disturbance and was contacted by witnesses. Complainant was handcuffed for his safety until Dallas police officers arrived. Complainant was exhibiting erratic behavior that included aggressive and combative in nature. DFR was called to the location after the complainant began to exhibit medical distress. Complainant was transported to Parkland Hospital, where he died from unknown causes. The complainant was pronounced deceased by Dr. Cohen at 1:30 p.m. The complainant will be transported to the Dallas County Medical Examiner's office for autopsy. So, 2 key points to highlight, and it seems as if the Dallas Police Department are trying to paint a different picture to the actual events that occurred. Remember, the body cam footage hadn't been released just yet as a part of these documents that were released, but already there were contradictions to the Attorney General's report. Let's go back to that report to compare. Take a look here. It's clear to see that Tony hadn't acted aggressively towards officers, so why does the incident report state that he was? It's also interesting that the incident report states that Tony died at hospital for unknown reasons. Again, the body cam hadn't been released by this point, so Vicky, her lawyer, and the Dallas Morning News were unaware of what actually took place, but as you know, that would also turn out to be false. The body cam clearly shows that he was sadly dead at the scene.
Unfucking
Yeah, he's not breathing.
He's not breathing?
Nope.
Oh, shit.
Fire. Huh.
Nah, he ain't breathing, bro.
We all put on some gloves. We need some chest compressions.
Fuck. He ain't breathing.
So he was fighting and then just gave up.
Hey,
Like this.
I've got his mom on the phone, and she knows all this stuff.
He's dead.
He's what?
He's dead.
Well,
On December 8th, 2017, the criminal investigation into the death of Tony Timpa would have a huge update after 3 officers, Kevin Mansell, Danny Vasquez, and Dustin Dillard, were all indicted for misdemeanor deadly conduct. In other words, if you recklessly engage in conduct that poses imminent serious bodily injury. This came as the result of 2 days of testimony from 3 different medical examiners. The grand jury's indictment stated that the officers engaged in reckless conduct that placed Tony in imminent danger of serious bodily injury. However, the charges were later dropped in March of 2019 by Dallas County District Attorney John Crezeau. John states that he met with all 3 medical examiners who had testified to the grand jury. They reportedly told him they didn't believe the officers acted recklessly and would not testify to elements of the indictment beyond reasonable doubt. This is to do with the fact that Tony had took cocaine that night and that could have contributed to his death. Although it should be noted that the original medical examiner's report did claim that the death was ruled a homicide, so it does get slightly confusing. Just prior to the 3 officers being indicted, the Dallas Police Department's Internal Affairs Unit had conducted an investigation into Tony's death. All 3 officers were disciplined for conduct discrediting the department, but those allegations were dropped when the criminal charges were dismissed.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, sir.
Good. So, kind of give you an agenda of what's going to take place. I'll allow you guys to speak on your behalf regarding the incident that's in question. I probably will have some follow-up questions for you and/or your chain of command that's sitting at the table. I'll ask you to step out for the conversations. Then I'll invite you back in and render my decision, okay? So before we look at the video, so I've seen the video, everybody here in the room, have you guys seen the video as well too?
No.
You have not seen it. Have you seen the video?
No, sir.
Yeah, okay. Would you like to see the video? Would you like to see the video?
I don't need to see it if he doesn't. Do you need to see the video?
I don't.
So do you have, are we all on the same page of the reason why you're here today?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't need to see the video, right?
I don't mind it.
Okay.
I'm good, no.
Okay, all right. So, at this time, I'm going to allow both of you can speak independent of each other, to give your thoughts, your feedback, your perspective regarding why you're here today. So you're not here today on the adverse conduct, correct? Correct. Okay. Are you sure?
Yes.
Yes. You're here on the sustained allegation of... What's the correct word now on that?
Number 1 and 2.
Discourteous mock, belittle the citizen during the performance of his duties. Okay? You go first, sir. Yes.
Okay, the whole time I was out there on the scene, my intentions were not to belittle Mr. Timpa or put discredit on the department. As I wrote my statement, it was merely to try to see if we can get some reaction from him, try to engage him a different way, kind of throw it off. And if he would, then we kind of know. Because the whole time, I was under the impression that he's just kind of one of those guys being over dramatic, and he's still trying to push us out in the street. So when we're kind of going through that banter and mocking and everything, I was just trying to see if I can get him to kind of perk up, or so let's, okay, now I know he's listening, and we kind of give him some commands. It was never my intention, like I said, just to say that stuff, just to be able to say it because, quote, I can. I had a strategy in mind. Of course, looking back at everything, it was the completely wrong way to approach it. But that's pretty much it. So I kind of want to get on the table that, I'm not always out there just yelling at people, picking on people just because I got a badge and I can. I did have a strategy behind it. Of course, looking back at it, it was a completely wrong way to approach it. And hindsight's 20/20. If I could do it all over again, I would completely do something completely different. That's all I have to add.
Yeah, so that night, we get calls all the time. You go out there trying to help. I'm not going out there to try and belittle somebody or try to mock somebody or try to bring somebody down just because they do have a uniform, a badge, and a gun. my sole intention is to actually help people and to do something positive, right? We get enough bad agenda on the news on its own. I don't need to add to it. So when we were going through this banter, I mean, part of it is just, you know, I dealt with this guy. He was a big gentleman. You know, it's kind of like relieving stress, and never in my mind did it cross, hey, you know what? I want to make fun of this guy. I want to belittle him. I want to mock him. I didn't. It never crossed my mind, not to this point. And yes, hindsight is 2020. Obviously, these comments, what was said is shouldn't have been said. Looking at it back, I would do it completely different. Of course, you know, I never meant to belittle him. We were trying to get him to react to something because he was on this circle of, you know, of what his comments were, of what he was saying. It was just continuous, and so trying to bring him out of that loop, maybe get some reaction different, make him understand, hey, you know, we're here trying to help you. But obviously, I mean, I'll say, you know, if I could apologize, I would apologize to him for it, because it's incorrect looking at it back. What I said shouldn't have been said. But like I said, it wasn't to belittle him or to mock him.
So it is comforting to know that you guys realize your mistake. In the 21st century, in the policing world that we're in right now, perception is reality. You guys were being recorded by your own body-worn camera. This has nothing to do with a citizen recording this. This is city equipment that recorded it. And this is what you guys said and how you said it does not represent the DPD officers of today. Really doesn't really represent law enforcement industry as a whole. I have better expectation of you. I personally believe you guys are better than that. But I still need you on the force. And so if you learn something from it, most likely we can move forward from here. But I can tell you this, you coming back before me with the same type of allegation in the near future is not going to set well with me. You guys need to take this as a learning lesson, as a learning opportunity to get better and be cautious what you say and do in front of the public, whether you're in front of the public or you're not in front of the public. Who you are from a righteous standpoint, you should be that in the light and in the dark, okay? But again, it is comforting to understand that you guys did make a mistake, and you're completely aware of that. Sir, shoot up. No, sir. Okay. ID, anything we missed?
No, sir.
All right. Can you step out for me? Sir, how long have you been on the department?
17 years.
17? 6 years. 6 years, okay. So I had a conversation with your chain of command sitting at the table with me. We are all in concert together. We do agree that probably the best lesson in this is your learned lessons from this incident. Unfortunately, I do disciplinary hearings at least once a week or once every 2 weeks, and I would tell you the same thing that I tell most of my young officers. At the end of the day, you can't let incidents like this deter you as though that you're not having any type of value to the organization. I personally believe that you guys are high value people. I believe that you do bring value to the organization, but unfortunately in this incident, I have to give discipline regarding this incident here. As long as you don't come back before me with the same type of allegations, I believe you guys will have a very fruitful career still ahead of you. Just because you have stuff in your jacket does not mean that you won't have opportunities afforded to you. You will have some opportunities afforded to you. And this is the way that we do business with the new chain of command that's in play right now. So for the allegation that we're talking about right now, I'm going to render written reprimand for both of you, okay?
Okay.
All right, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good.
With the blow of having the criminal court proceedings dropped, Vicky Timpa's lawyer put in a request to the federal judge overseeing the ongoing civil case for all materials related to the incident to be available for public use, as there was no valid reason for them to be withheld anymore. On July 29th, 2019, that's exactly what happened, and although this boosted the profile of the case, it's surprising that even 6 years on, the case is still relatively unknown. So how far are we into the civil case, for those of you who may be asking? Well, it isn't as simple as you might think it is. Just under a year on from when the majority of the material relating to the case was allowed to be used for public use, the federal judge who released said documents throughout the civil case on the basis that the officers had qualified immunity. Qualified immunity is a controversial doctrine created by the courts that limits victims of police violence and misconduct from holding officers accountable when they violate a person's constitutional rights. The plaintiff also must find a similar case that demonstrates officers' actions were unconstitutional, and because no other case had been put forward, Vicky Timpa's civil suit was dropped. The good news for Tony's family, though, is that this decision was overturned in December of 2021 at the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. The appeal hearing cited several decisions it said supported the Timpa family's right to sue and showed the facts were serious enough to be examined by a jury. Quote, a jury could find that this use of force constituted deadly force, and so it looked as if Vicky Timpa was going to have her day in court in the near future. But believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, the city of Dallas refused to accept the Court of Appeals decision and had even asked them to reverse the reversal. To no surprise, the court refused to do so. The final step for the city then was to take this all the way to the Supreme Court. Yes, the Supreme Court. And would you have guessed it? In March of 2022, the Supreme Court refused to hear the city's case, and with no legal options left, Vicky Timpa will finally be able to take this to a jury in the near future, but it isn't clear when that will be. After searching through various sources, I'm yet to find a court date. Maybe one just hasn't been given yet. Before we end this deep dive into the death of Tony Timpa, I would like to leave you with this information. Let this really sink in for a moment. It's in reference to Dallas Fire and Rescue medical responders not intervening immediately after Tony lost consciousness. According to an affidavit, one of the responders was quoted as saying this: "I was unable to assess the patient due to his combativeness." Interesting, seeing as medical responders appear to take Tony's blood pressure while he's still conscious. Also, this term of combativeness is also being used once again. We already debunked the fact that initially officers claimed he wasn't being combative, and of course the body cam footage backs this claim up. So you have to ask yourself why medical responders gave this answer.